Good evening. I call this meeting of the De Pere Board of Park Commissioners to order at 6:30. Grace, will you please take roll?
Alderperson Chandik Kundiger.
Here.
Alderperson Daphne Ledwina.
Here.
Alderperson Rosh. Randy Soki.
Present.
Ryan Jennings. Melissa Thiel Collar.
Here.
Jim Kneisel.
Here.
Madison DeClean is excused, and Connor Goodman.
Here.
Excellent. We have quorum. Public comments upon matters not on the agenda. Does there anyone wish to do that? Seeing none, we'll move on to items. Item number 1, consideration and possible action to approve the minutes from the September 15, 2022 Board of Park Commissioners meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Sorry, Melissa, I'll try to make sure I pause. Item number
I'm
2.
good.
Item number 2, consideration and possible action to donate one family pool membership for the 2023 Snowman Photo Contest Grand Prize.
I move to approve.
Second.
I'll second. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Discussion. Jim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3, consideration and possible action to accept a donation from De Pere Baseball for diamond improvements.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to just quickly say a thank you to De Pere Baseball, who's investing almost $11,000 in the field, if I'm correct on that. So, thank you. Southwest Park greatly appreciates that. Next item up, item number 4, consideration and possible action on park rental agreement for Rock the Dock. Marty, this one is probably something we want to have a little heads up on.
Yeah, well,
Background info.
I'll give you a very short intro and then offer, the folks from Rock the Dock are here to offer a little presentation and then answer any questions you have. But a 15-second intro would be, we were contacted by Rock the Dock, and they had a strong interest in bringing their event, which was typically, or has been typically held in Green Bay. They would like to bring it to Voyager Park. Staff met with them down on site just to make, anytime we have a real large event, we just want to get a grip and our fingers around what we're really talking about. So myself and other city staff met with Dawn and Rock the Dock, and we do, from the park side of things, we don't see any reasons why we could not host the event. Obviously, there's lots of little things we have to take care of, but we don't see why Voyager Park would not be able to be utilized. So with that, I would offer that I don't think you have to open the meeting. If you're asking them questions, if you want to have a presentation, I think legally you would have to open it. So however you'd like to approach it.
I would prefer a motion just to open, so we're all,
I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
thank you. I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Here?
Motion carries. We're now in open session.
Bring another chair for you.
Once you're all set up, we'd ask that you state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Look at that, isn't that handy?
That is, I believe, unless there's an update.
Copy for that gentleman.
For Marty, he's, yeah.
Give me yours, Marty.
He's only got 6 copies. Here's number 7.
Just give me yours when you're,
Done.
no, give it to me, but just keep yours so I can have it for the. Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have the map in our packet.
They have your map, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Not this, though.
So I'm Dawn Paradiso Hansen. Wow, that's really loud. I live in Appleton, 1224 West Parkway Boulevard. I'm the Executive Director of Compassionate Home Healthcare.
Tommy Clifford. I live at 1519 West College Avenue in the city of Appleton, and I am the Vice President on the Board of Directors of Compassion Home Healthcare.
And Storm Walsvik, Appleton, Wisconsin, 1500 East Henry Street. And I work with both Tommy and Dawn in a support role right now and working with the volunteers.
So first of all, thank you for letting us come and have a conversation with you about Rock the Dock. The box that you see here in front of us, this is what the fundraiser is all about. We run a holiday campaign every year. We have for 11 years now, and we've helped support almost, I'd say, just over 30,000 people during the holiday season. And so Rock the Dock is our biggest fundraiser to help support that program. And this is just what the boxes look like. I'm hoping to partner with some organizations here in De Pere to help collect, because the organizations that we help 29 different nonprofits and organizations between Appleton and Green Bay every holiday season. So people in your community are a part of that receive these items as well too. So who's got some questions?
Jim?
Do you have, is there a list I didn't notice of the organizations that are helped?
No, I didn't bring it. So basically what this document here is, this is just to show you all what I send out for our holiday campaign. And then of course on the back, we have the sponsorship levels. On our website, it lists out all of the organizations that we do support.
Can you give us a few examples?
So up here in this area, we have Helping Hands Caregivers, Howe Community Resource Center, Aging and Disability Resource Center, Pillars, Harbor House, that's just to name a few. And then we also work with local schools, both in Appleton and Green Bay.
Okay. You did this in Green Bay last year?
Yes, we've done this in Green Bay. We started in 2019. Obviously, COVID hit, so we did it virtually, and then we held it up in Green Bay last year.
Why the move to De Pere? Is there?
You're asking all my questions.
Sorry.
Because I want to work with people who want to work with me, not against me and not for me. And clearly reading the wall here, I feel like you guys are the people who want to do that.
Could you elaborate a little bit? Did you have some difficulty?
A lot. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to throw those people under the bus. But again, we brought a lot of people to the community. We did each and every year. We support the community. 65% of who we support and get support from is in this area. And they made it very difficult this last year, especially to make things smooth. There were things I didn't know until the next day because nobody wanted me to stress out during the event. But they made it difficult for vendors to get onto the city deck. They made it very difficult for our drone pilot to do her job. They made things very difficult. And they didn't look at it like, look at all these people that they're bringing and look at what they're doing for our downtown economy. They didn't look at any of that.
So basically it was logistics related, not the problem with the festival, or
Yeah.
no complaints or anything?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. One more.
Sure, go ahead.
The thing that hit me from this, just reading about this beforehand, is I don't quite understand what the draw is. Is there bands? Is there something?
Yeah, so Rock the Dock we have 3 stages. We have about 13 bands. We bring vendors in, whether they be somebody who has a mom and pop shop that wants to sell something. We welcome nonprofits to come and help as well too. But with Rock the Dock, what we have really looked and geared this towards is an innovative, inspirational festival. It's not just a music festival, and it's not just a beer fest. We bring robotics teams from the First Robotics program throughout the state of Wisconsin. We had the Festival Food Big Cart, which we were able to raise $400 in 2 hours giving rides. We had the Wienermobile as well too, and we gave away a 2-hour ride with that through a contest. So it's the idea of this with COVID, obviously, we're all stuck at home, and now we're all out and about, and our youth is going to be the generation that's going to hopefully take care of us. And I want them to be inspired when they come up to the festival and they see well, I could draw a Wienermobile and make it go. Well, that'd be a design engineer and then a CAD engineer. And I want them to be inspired by not just that aspect, but somebody listening to the sound. Like my daughter's boyfriend, he's really into music and he creates these amazing soundtracks. That would be a sound engineer. So we're all engineers. It's not just because we build something. We're all engineers in some way, shape, or form, and that's the direction I want this festival to go. It's not a carny festival. It's inspirational and it's inspiring, and that's what I'm looking to build it.
Amy?
So I'm guessing, because with the information that's provided, as well as the on the memo as far as next steps go, a lot more information is needed, I think, in order to move forward with an approval. That's not what we're doing though today, right?
So I'm not sure,
It's
probably
more,
goes 15, 20 years ago, but our department policy is that when an event comes and wants to rent a park and the attendance is going to be expected over 1,000 people, the park board needs to review the event and approve the rental contract. So this is just one in many steps of the ability for Rock the Dock to come to City of De Pere.
Right.
But because the anticipated attendance is over 1,000 people, park board does need to put their approval to allowing the park to be
Next.
rented for that event.
okay. So, and obviously the details, city ordinances, things like that would all be covered in like drone usage and stuff like that, so that,
Yeah, we still have a long road to go.
Right.
We have lots of things to go through with the park rental contract. That's one facet of it. The other facet is that there's the special event permit that Dawn's been getting, accustomed to. And the special event permit covers all of the departments throughout the city, police, fire, all of that. So it just so happens this is a policy that we have for events over 1,000 people. So it's an added step
Yep.
that we need to go through, but a warranted step at this time.
right. And it still allows us to have other votes along the way, but this is the first step necessary.
Well, what we will do is if you approve the rental contract, we will then go to work on our park rental contract with Rock the Dock. Provided they meet all internal stipulations, the rental contract would be approved and we would be moving full steam ahead with Rock the Dock. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be snags, say, from the fire department or police department that could cause problems with the event. But provided they meet our internal requirements, the event would be a go for Voyager Park and renting of Voyager Park for this event.
So I guess I'm still a little unclear. We're approving a rental contract, but we don't have the rental contract.
I probably misspoke there, sorry. You're approving the use of Voyager Park for,
August 19th.
for Rock the Dock event. So the park rental contract, that is an internal document that
Yeah.
we will work through and do that. So you are just approving the event being able to rent Voyager Park on that day.
The whole park.
Correct.
Do you want to interject and then we'll go to Rob?
So, yeah, and I'm sorry, what is your name?
Amy.
Amy, I'm
Go
sorry,
with
I'm like looking, I'm like,
It's a
so
lot.
I want you all to understand, this isn't our first rodeo, but we learn along the way. And the first year we did this, we had no idea what we were doing. Like, we didn't, but we figured it out. And we learn every year from the downfalls, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Our team meets about 2 weeks after the event to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how we can make it different and improvements. And we have, I think, Storm, was it 7 different volunteer lead areas that we cover to make sure that all aspects when in the park are taken care of as far as leads go, right?
Yeah, we have the way the volunteer groups, because it is a volunteer-driven event as far as people are concerned. So we have 7 different buckets, if you will, and then people who actually lead those different groups, whether it be traffic and safety, trash pickup, parking, if there is questions on parking, and then the different vendors, the food, beer and beverage, those kinds of things. So that's how the volunteer piece works.
And also too, I mean, I know there's a lot of steps along the way and there's a lot of gears that have to be, I have to talk with fire, I have to talk with risk, I have to talk with your attorney. All of those things that you are requiring is, we've done this and we have our checklist too. So we always want to make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
It was Ryan and then Shayna and then we'll go back to Jim.
So I was going to quickly ask about attendance, and it looks like it's a one-day, do you set up, you'd be setting up probably,
No, one day, it takes us one day. That's why we have a lot of different leads. And for our part of it, you'd think we'd have so much to set up, but we fill a 29-foot U-Haul truck. And we have a lot of teams that come in and they take charge and they do their job. Vendors and everybody else, they're responsible for their own thing. And so The only thing that we're asking is to park the U-Haul truck in the parking lot the night before or after 10 o'clock. Otherwise, we like to get on site by 8 o'clock in the morning and we get things rolling.
So are you setting up tents and,
So what will happen is, obviously, the vendors will probably have tents. We will have a large-scale tent in that parking lot for the robotics teams. We don't want it heat, and then what happens if it rains and you have robots that are, not working? And I know that you have to have, somebody has to check that. I've read that in the documentation, where there's an official that's got to make sure nothing's staked into the ground, which we can't do that. We know that. We couldn't do that up in Green Bay as well, too. Vendors will have their own tents. Usually, too, the beer vendors, they bring their own tents, and they're just those 10 by 10 pop-up tents. We ourselves, in our areas, just use 10 by 10 pop-up tents.
okay, and up to 30,000 people?
That's what we estimated this last year. The first year, we didn't, again, know what we were doing. We brought about 15,000. And then last year, still the fear with COVID, we still brought about 15,000 people, which was amazing. And this year, from the minute it started until it was done, 30,000 people probably went through that day.
And this kind of overlaps with the Brown County Fair, is that same timing?
Sure.
Okay.
But I don't look at that as like a competition, quite honestly. There are people that want to go to like that type of event. There are people that are going to want to go to like the Ignite Festival with the balloons that are supposed to go up in the air and they never do because it's too windy. So people have their own niches of what they want to do. With what we do, we're raising funds for a very, very good cause. And 65% of that cause is up here in this area.
Shayna.
Are you organized as a 501c3, a charitable
Yes.
organization? Okay.
Yep.
Great. That's my only question.
Jim.
Yeah, along those lines, I was asking if this is 100% nonprofit then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And last year you estimated you had up to 30,000
Yes.
people? Is there an admission?
No, so, we were talking about that when we were walking it. Some of the challenges we would have up here if we were to barricade it and charge like De Pere days do. Well, I don't want to tick anybody off at the condos, and I don't really want to tick any of the boaters off that want to come in. So we had talked about the potential of working with some businesses that want to work with nonprofits and use their parking lots to raise those particular funds. So if we had 3 or 4 parking lots available to us through the city and some businesses that want to work with us, that's how we could make up that income there. But typically, the festival has been free since we started. How we raise funds is through beverage sales, as well as sponsorships, and then the vendors who have to pay a space.
Okay. And I just had a few questions for Marty. How many people attend for Perspective Celebrate De Pere?
I really don't know. I've heard numbers of 20 to 30 to 40,000.
It's probably never $30,000 in a day, though, right?
No, they probably had that in a day. But keep in mind, that's not at one given time.
Right, that's how ours would be too. It's like throughout the whole day.
Okay. And have you looked at the music venues and determined that there shouldn't be an issue with the neighbors?
We walked the park. And we looked at the locations that they would be considering, and there's no reason why it wouldn't work. With Celebrate De Pere over the years, they, along with us, the city, have done some investment into the electrical out at the park. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the key component, is the electric. And we're very fortunate to have electric in many, many different corners of the park. So
Okay.
it would work.
Now, are these the musicians or the music? Is it rock music? Is it a variety of things?
So we would have 3 stages, and when we walked the park, we went back into the little understory area. That's like a perfect area for acoustics. The stage that would be by the water would be like for a rock stage, but then we'd have the main stage in the bowl, not where De Pere Days puts it, because the suggestion was, let's put it off to the side so the music's shooting out to the river so we can have some grace with the neighbors, which I'm totally fine with. So that main stage is like, for headliners, bigger draw types of band. I also look at this event to bring the up-and-comers. They don't get an opportunity to come and play at such an event like this. So I welcome opportunities like that for those up-and-comers to see, if they would want to join in and see what they can do and show people what they have.
Is this more or less local? or regional?
Yeah, most of the bands that we have are all local. Now, we do have a gentleman from Mile of Music that's interested in coming. I don't know if any of you do a little research on YouTube, but go and look up Talon Latz, Tallonlatz. He is a guitar prodigy, and when he was 6 years old, he was given a guitar. He's 21 now. He played with, does Stevie Ray Vaughan, Led Zeppelin. I mean, it's amazing. And so I spoke with his father today, and he's interested in coming and potentially being a headliner. And he's been all over the United States. I mean, he's 6 years old, and he's riffing out some Stevie Ray Vaughan like it's no tomorrow. So it's a variety of great musicians, and it can be a one person with their guitar up to, we had Vic Ferrari and the Symphony up on City Deck this past year.
Okay. It sounded like you were all from the same company.
Yeah,
Does this fit in with the mission of what you do somehow?
Yeah.
Or is it, okay.
yeah. So Rock the Dock is the fundraiser. It's our biggest fundraiser to help support a community that cares program, which is we upskill individuals, whether you're grade school, middle school, high school, college, or somebody who's wanting to learn something new. I want to learn to be an event planner. I want to learn how to do fundraisers. I want to learn how to do web design. So through that, we're able to give job shadowing opportunities and internships to individuals, and we do that running it through Rock the Dock and our holiday giving campaign, and help educate the community on the importance of in-home health and how individuals have to decide, especially now, between toilet paper and food. And we've been doing this now this is our 11th year doing this.
Okay. And you don't do a similar event in Appleton, or?
Appleton has so many music events that,
I see.
yeah. And then the city down there too, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. And Marty, what is the rental cost for renting the whole park?
Well, right now, the rental cost for Voyager would be just like anyone else, but I believe it's $360 per day, correct?
I think it's $380.
$380? I was close.
But then you have to take into consideration any policing or anything that,
And again, that is separate.
yeah.
So that is through the special event process. We're strictly talking about the rental of the park here.
Okay.
And again, all those pieces that you're talking about, so that's something that I've already talked with Chad and Don about, okay, let's talk about porta potties. Let's talk about how many police officers you're going to need. And within, I can't think of what it's called, but I have this document from the city that talks about that the matrix is a little off, but we said that they would said that we could work with them. They were saying if you have 10,000 people, you need to have 70 cops. I'm like, can we talk about that? And that was written up a long time ago. And Chad had even stated that that's something that they can work with us and really make it make sense. Truly, how many porta potties do you need? How many police officers at what time? So up in City Deck, we didn't have any officers come up there until 2:00, and then they were on staff. We had 2 walking staff from 2 to 10. And the only issue we had was year 1, and it's because somebody got really drunk and they just put him in an Uber and sent him home. But there was no issues, there was no fights, nothing.
Yeah, I'm not asking these questions to discourage.
No, and absolutely not.
From coming to De Pere. But Marty, the question was raised about Green Bay. Have you talked to them about how this worked out last year, and are you satisfied that
Well,
everything's gonna be okay?
to be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if talking to Green Bay does us any value, in that we look at the event, at what they're doing, the activities that they're doing, the people that they're bringing in, the activities that they're doing, and can our park handle it? And we think it can. Had Rock the Dock been a problem event, everybody, including the 3 counties around us, would have known about it.
Okay,
So
all right. I'm good.
I mean, I would like to think too that, our reputation is really important to us. And so I have really good relationships with the media from print, news, and radio. And if there was anything not right, you would have heard it. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things that fall short sometimes because we're only human and we're dealing with humans. But like I said, after the events, we try to really write out every single detail that we can so that we can revisit it again. If there was an issue, what was it? How was it handled? What do we do moving forward? So we really try to break all that down. And each area has their lead that's going to bring all that information back to us so that we can make it better the next year.
And I think it's also important to realize that, we want to be good stewards to the area that we serve, and we want to make sure that we leave an area better than it was when we got there. And so, I've spent hundreds of hours on Green Bay's city deck, walking it and helping set up and tear down it, and it is important. It's important. It's kind of a sad situation. Dawn won't talk about it. I certainly will. We can have a couple beers later and talk about it. But it is sad. It's totally sad, and we want to be able to bring people here, have a good time, build an organization and give back to the community, because that's really what it's about. It's about showing people what we can do, showcasing a town. I mean, we had people from Milwaukee Brewers, we had people from the Green Bay Packers come in to see the drone show, so that they can have those things come to their venues. We did something, years ahead of anybody else in Wisconsin, and we're thankful for the opportunity to present in front of you and to hopefully be a part of De Pere for years to come.
And just the layout too, if you look at it, I mean, I think about the biggest piece for me, the exciting new piece is the robotics piece, and to where we want to put that in here compared to where it was for Rock the Dock up in Green Bay, it was separate. And that's kind of my drive really for the festival. Everything else is a well-oiled machine, and I really want to build that part. And so I encourage like engineering companies from the area, architectural companies from the area to get involved, maybe perhaps come on down, volunteer, maybe throw some money at it so that we can give some trophies away or give some money to some of the winning teams. Like we had global recognition, they actually designed trophies for us to give to the robotics teams. They were all judged by 3 different engineers. And then after they were done, they were able to go across the river and work with Tommy and the drone company and be educated on what that process was all about. So I mean, imagine our young engineers having this opportunity to do something that, you go to the NBA, you go to the NFL, this is where you're going to see that stuff. You're not going to see it usually in Wisconsin. And so we want to bring those opportunities, to now this next year, the hope is that we're going to get so many kids that want to be a part of it. They're going to have to kind of earn it by, tell us why you want to be a pit crew member for the drone company. Tell us what your impact is. So I want them to think in those terms. I'm a grant writer, so tell me what the impact is and why is there an impact for you. And with us bringing this to this amazing park with all of the bells and whistles that I see and how I can lay it out, the vision, I can see it very, very clear. And there's space, and it's just a beautiful area. It really, truly is. Where we would love to have the drone piece is like where the fireworks used to take off. I think that's a perfect spot for it, knowing what Tommy was up against last year. And I know that that's an area we'll work with the city as well, too. The company, Tommy can tell you that we worked with, they have all the regulations that you need and everything, right?
Yes, we work with a company called Pixis out of North Carolina, and they did an amazing job. And it was just it was remarkable to watch the process, to be a part of it, and to see, there was 35, 40,000 people all with their cell phones out watching the Green Bay sky.
I mean, Vic Firring, the symphony forgot what they were singing at one point because a D and a P that were in a heart, it dissipated and it turned and it started to beat, and they literally forgot what they were singing. So it was something pretty spectacular.
Connor.
On the map, it says car show maybe in the woods. What would that entail?
Well, so as we were walking along the path, somebody mentioned a car show, and I was like, ding, ding, we've talked about this in the past. I'm like, so explain to me what you're thinking. So he shared with me that they have a car show sometimes over in that park, or lay it out. And
Celebrate De Pere.
yeah, so I'm like, why can't we do that? So my daughter was on the homecoming court and got to ride, and they all got to ride in Corvettes. And the Valley Vets down in Appleton is a nonprofit, so that's my first reach out. So anybody who knows car shows and that type of stuff, I thought, why not bring that into that area, because it's a draw down to that stage. So make it a nice, like every area there's something to go see. It's not, here's the stage and then here's these other things. That draw is going to be good, and not just cars, but maybe really cool motorcycles or engineering companies that get involved with us, like Fairchild Equipment. They brought a couple items to put on display. So our sponsors, we give them that opportunity to come and showcase what they have, especially to let the community know that they're involved with us as well.
The only thing I'll say is that from a dad perspective, I talked with my daughter about this, and she was not necessarily conceptually, she didn't understand all the finer points that you shared tonight, but conceptually, she was like, they're going to close Voyager for a day. For a day. I'm like, it's one day. And it sounds like it's a pretty big event. I'm like, look at the map, hon. There's a lot going on. So anyway, and that's not going to be my overriding, but I think that that's one thing to just kind of keep in mind that, and we celebrate the pier is kind of like a mess for the weekend when that happens down there. But that just, I think just to recognize that there will be some people who will definitely feel, I don't think it's a lot of loss, but there may be some sense of loss for some people in our community on that day. Now, hopefully there's also an amazing event that they may say, hey, let's go to that, check that out. And I wasn't sure if there was an admission fee or not, but now you're saying, so the big playground is still the big playground.
And then like in that kids area, we want to like bring bounce houses over by that pavilion, bring face painters, bring in like balloon animal artists. And that's like the area too that would be like vendor village and make it really super kid friendly in that particular area. With the Wienermobile that we had a contest where you create your version of the Wienermobile, G-rated, of course, and the winner received a 2-hour ride with 3 of their friends in the Wienermobile. Now, I don't know, Connor, you're kind of young, so you probably don't remember the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Yeah, didn't think so. But some of us elder, wiser individuals, we grew up with it. The Oscar Mayer Wiener and the Bologna song, all of it. So imagine, if you will, getting to ride in that for 2 hours. That was a really fun event. And the hot doggers, they're the interns, they really made that whole piece really, really great. And then the festival food big cart, I mean, can you imagine? We're adults. I got to sit in the baby seat of the cart, first ride. It was pretty cool. And to raise funds with that, I didn't know we could do that, So I want to bring different things, not just music, not just food, different things for everybody. There should be something there for everybody.
Ryan, did you have something?
I'm going to bring it up. So, Celebrate the Pier also, grand plan. I just want to throw it out there that we can't control the weather, and I don't know what your financial exposure is in this event.
Well, we get rain insurance. Getting heat insurance the past couple of years, it really didn't make any sense. Wind insurance, it didn't make any sense for the drone show. The only thing I care about is the rain insurance, and it's rain or shine.
Sounds good.
Marty?
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind, when I look at this event, I look at it as a miniature Celebrate the Pier. Celebrate the Pier, in actuality, consumes the park, and they lock the park out to the public for 5 days, actually. This is a one-day event, and as of right now, there's no charge. So if somebody would want to go to the Riverwalk, nothing's holding them back from doing that. So this is a one-day, kind of fast and furious, one-day music festival, just a mini-me of Celebrate the Pier. Because really, other than maybe, say, the drone show, almost everything that's going on is very, very similar to what Celebrate the Pier is.
Thanks, Marty. Further questions? If not, thank you all for your input, your answers, your explanations. And then I'm going to ask for a motion to close the meeting so we can actually take action on the item. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll make a motion to go back to regular order.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're back in regular order. Further discussion by anyone? I'll make a motion to approve the park rental agreement for Rock the Dock.
Are we approving Marty?
I think we're approving the use of the.
It says
Yeah.
park rental agreement, action on park. Do you say what you want, Marty?
It really shouldn't be the park rental agreement.
Yeah.
It should be approving the rental of Voyager Park.
Thank you. Whoopsie. I must have misread that on my agenda.
No, it
You're
says it
reading
on there.
correctly.
You read it right. We wrote it wrong. How's that?
I'll
So-
second the.
So approval of renting Voyager Park on August 19th, 2023
For Rock the Dock.
for Rock the Dock.
and I'll
Thank you.
second.
Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need me to say anything a second time?
No,
All right.
I'll get it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Sorry, Melissa, it had been a while. All right, the motion carries. Good luck with the rest of your adventures, because there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle for you. Thank you. Thanks. Look forward to seeing that in August. Item number 5, consideration and possible action on the selection of colors for the Kelly Danen Playground.
If I could just quick jump in, from the staff perspective, we have no opinion. At least I don't.
How can you not? I stared at these things
We
for like
asked
30
the folks from we asked our donors, and our donors came back and indicated, Grace, which one was it again? Whimsy and honeysuckle. If you look at the palettes, so whimsy, right?
Oh, those are both cool.
Is that right or wrong?
Grace, could you move the screen up to the colors?
Oh, hang on. Yep.
Well, this is another one where I talked with my daughter on, because I know Dean's not here, so Connor, you can admit to playing on playground equipment regularly since Dean's not here. I don't know if that's where you want to go, but my daughter liked, in this order, she liked Malibu, honeysuckle, and jovial.
There's another one.
So I don't know if anybody else with kids asked them, but, so she,
All Mary said was they don't want red, and she wasn't a fan of the yellow on the passion fruit.
all right.
But red fades too much, she said.
We also asked De Pere Baseball,
Yep.
and they said whatever would be great, but if you were going to ask them their opinion, they would have went with spring bloom. So I'm not sure if any of this really provides you with any consensus at all.
The Pure Baseball said spring bloom.
Which one is spring bloom?
Blue and
Can
green.
you scroll to that one?
It's under the
The blue and green.
natural palettes. It will be,
Scroll to show that one.
no,
That's not, I don't have that. My iPad's not. Sorry.
right here. This one right here.
Okay, thank you. That's the one they said?
That's the one they provided us with, yes.
The pure baseball.
The pure baseball.
Yes.
Oh, I've heard 2 honeysuckles, right?
Yeah.
The donor group liked honeysuckle.
Well, I'm going to go back a little bit. The first thing they wanted to share is that they were not a fan of red
Okay.
and yellow. So that was primary. Then Grace, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought they indicated that they had some liking to whimsy and honeysuckle.
Okay. And Randy's
Is that
daughter liked
correct or
whimsy.
incorrect?
Whimsy.
Whimsy. Okay.
So I like something that is more neutral as opposed to Redbirds or East De Pere or West De Pere schools. So I like the idea of not having red or orange involved, and being more neutral. And I love this stuff. I love picking out colors and things like that. And I was thinking more along the dugouts or just things that aren't as hot, right? Like darker colors get hotter, and how much more comfortable it is to play on. But with it being De Pere for De Pere Baseball, if they had an opinion and the donor has opinion, I don't see that I would veer out of either one of their suggestions. I think it's great that we're getting this, and if we can get into a more neutral color palette that kind of is for the park and not for one side of town or other, I think that's great.
Jim.
I make a motion, we go with honeysuckle in deference to the donors and be done with it.
Yeah,
I second that. Here. And Randy's daughter liked it.
There you go. Yeah, and my daughter liked it.
Tell her that's why we're voting.
She liked that.
You're gonna have
All
to.
right, we have a motion on the table to approve the honeysuckle color selection for the playground at Kelly Danen. Any discussion?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Oh.
Did you get that? Okay, so that was a motion by Jim and a second by Shayna.
Yeah.
Okay. Further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is honeysuckle. All right, item 6, consideration and possible action to approve Nelson Family Pavilion conceptual design and estimate.
It's probably more of accepting it than it is actually approving, because you kind of approve the design
All right.
last month. But this is it, final conceptual, and then the cost opinion. So the cost opinion fortunately came in where we were hoping it was going to come in. So, which is good.
I think it looks great.
I'd make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? The other thing I'll ask is, Marty, based on like that, we've talked about that exterior wall where like waste recycling and those water fountains or whatever are. Do you think there's enough room there for the vending machines that we kind of have? Or am I missing a spot on vending that I didn't see?
Well, I mean, in theory, they could go where the waste and receptacles are.
Right.
Because the one thing you have to keep in mind is we're going to have garbage cans out and about, and when it's time for the garbage to be picked up, they're all going to be rolled out to the curb. So I'm not so sure that while it would be convenient to have some there, you could probably get away with not even having it there, because if we're picking up on Tuesday, we just go roll them out to the curb and we don't even bother with that. So I think you're okay. I'm just not sure where you would put it otherwise. With how we designed the restrooms, we've got a lot of doors and there's just really no place to put it. And I think you want to stay away from, especially the vending machines, away from the patio.
Yes. So if you could somehow make sure there's a note there that we actually have electricity run to that area.
Yeah, we'll end up starting technical design after this approval.
Okay. Because it's just a bummer when in the 11th hour you catch something like that and then somebody says, wow, change order on that's going to be expensive.
I'm sorry, Grace, could you move the screen up again? I only have one monitor up.
I'm
so I
sorry.
can't-
That's me, Melissa.
That's okay. Well, okay. Thank you, Marty. Thank you.
Melissa, do you have any questions or discussion on this conceptual design?
No, nothing. Thank you.
You're welcome. If there's no further discussion, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration and possible action to approve contractual agreement with Inner Dimensions Wellness LLC. I believe Marty says, based on some twists, we want to refer this back to staff.
It's probably a good way of saying it.
Thanks. There we go.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to refer this item back to staff.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, consideration and possible action on applying to America in Bloom Canadian National Railroad EcoConnexions from the Ground Up Grant. All right.
Based on the memo that I read, we're pretty much choosing to not apply for this, correct?
Yeah, this one's kind of weird. What ended up happening is the city hired a consultant to research grants. They found this grant. They proposed it, and then our administration asked, hey, can go ahead and apply for the grant. So we looked at it. We found out that it's probably not, at least from my perspective and my opinion, it's probably not in our best interest as far as where we are as a city. But the comment was provided to me, well, let the park board make that decision. So wanted to give you my input, at least let you take a look at it. If you decide to suggest that we move forward with it, we'll put it in the queue of all of the projects we have, and we'll do, we'll do the best we can to get the application in time and go from there. The part that does concern me with this particular grant, there's two elements. It's only $25,000. Yes, that is a lot of money, but when you talk landscaping, actually that probably doesn't go as far as you think. And the other part of this is that as part of accepting the grant, you are acknowledging and approving that you will host a team of people to come here and go through your city and critique. And that's not bad, but you have to pay for that, and that comes out of your grant. So the community that I talked with said it's a great idea, it's a great grant for a community just getting started with their landscaping plan that doesn't understand what to do and where to do it and doesn't have much. That's where that outside eyes comes in and helps you. But I think we're a little bit farther along, especially considering the involvement and efforts our beautification committee has put in over the years. So it's my 2 cents.
I would make a motion that we not pursue this grant.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion about this motion. Marty, I agree with you. As I started reading this, I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. And then all of a sudden I saw the bring in a team, match this, do this. And I thought, oh. And again, as I look around our roundabouts, we, I think, have a really nice city as far as landscaping goes. Could there be improvements? Yes, but I don't think this is the best venue for that. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We will not pursue that. Action item number 9, consideration and possible action on request from Brown County Land and Conservation Department staff.
I can jump in if you want.
Sure.
So again, this is kind of a unique one again. Since I've been here, we've never really been asked this. So there's an effort that is going on right now to improve the East River and make it a water trail. Wonderful idea. Me as a director of Parks and Rec, I am in 100% support of that effort. They are applying for grants to fund the improvement and development of the East River as a water trail. As part of the leverage for getting the grants, they would like each of the communities to dedicate hours, staff resources. And that's a wonderful thing for us to dedicate. The unique part of this that I've never been asked for in 17 years is that they're asking us to commit 3 years out of staff time. It's very hard. Like we could, as a director, I could look at and say, we could dedicate 40 hours this year. But I don't know if I can promise 40 hours to 100 hours next year and the year after and the year after. So that where the park board and city would have to come in is they would have to dedicate those hours and approve those hours 3 years out. Because I can't, I don't know if I can promise that in 2 years. I mean, something different could come up, and our staff time is dedicated to something else and can't get to it. But if the city approves it and we don't have time, then we have to schedule overtime to get it done, and that's the way it is. But so it's unique in that they're asking for a staffing resource commitment for 3 years. And as director, I don't know if that's in our best interest. 100% support of what they're doing, and I wish there was a different way. But
Jim. Sorry, or Shana first? Shana was first, I think.
Have you talked to any of the other municipalities
yes.
about this? And are they kind of feeling the same way?
Everyone's a little politically correct with their verbiage. My understanding is that the Village of Alloway is supporting it. That is my understanding. I do believe this initiative started out of the Village of Alloway, so it would kind of make sense. I do believe the other communities are a little bit, as myself, where I don't know how I can go about promising you 3 years out of staffing.
Is there any way we could like table it and have more discussion with them before we commit to something?
You certainly can. You can do whatever you want. The funny part is everyone, we were the first one meeting and everyone's, please let us know what you're doing. Please let us know what
Okay.
you're doing. So if we table it and let them start making decisions, maybe it'll, I
It's just,
I just don't know.
Ask. It's a weird ask because it says you could include this and this and this, and you're right, we can't. Okay, it just seems kind of irresponsible to just go ahead with it. I would like something more defined, I guess, or maybe on an annual basis, we approve what we're going to do for them.
That would be a lot easier to
Right.
digest and plan for.
Yeah. Okay.
Jim, and then Amy, and then Ryan.
I take a different view. I think this is not that big of a deal. To me, this has a lot of potential. And unfortunately, this kind of reminds me of back on the county board when you try to get other communities to work together and all do the same thing. If there's this kind of money that's possibly coming in, I'd like to see everybody all in on it, considering 40 to 100 hours a year of labor, potentially, at overtime. What would that be, like a couple $1,000s?
No, probably a little more than that.
But in exchange for making the East River and that whole system much more recreational usable, I think that's a really good bargain to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all, Jim. The struggle part that I'm running into is as the director and responsible for all the operations for parks, recreation, and forestry. I can't sit here and predict in 2 years what our staffing levels might be. In 2 years, there could be a really bad budget crisis, and my budget gets cut, and I have to eliminate 2 people. We could have some type of, we could have some type of sod crisis.
It's all a matter of priorities. And I personally, I would like to support this at this level and then tell the city council, we think you should find a way to get this done and be able to look 2 or 3 years out. I mean, you're probably looking at it half glass full, worst case scenario about staffing, and you probably have reason to do that. But I don't know. I just think this is a small, in the grand scheme of things, this is a small ask. And if they can raise $500,000 to get this going and something good can come of it, I think it's worth it will pay off in spades. And and I guess the city council could say, no, we disagree with that. But from a park board perspective and the potential I think that exists here to improve that whole area, I'd say I'd support it, and I think we all should, and then let the city council decide what to do.
Exit stage left.
Randy, can I raise my hand to comment?
We'll go to you right now because of the logistics. So please share.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I first have a question and then a comment. Marty, did you have the city attorney look at this to see what the binding authority is? Let's say we can commit for 1 year and then you're forced to reduce staff and you don't have the capacity to have staff work on this. Is there any sort of penalty? Is there a violation of the contract?
Well, right now, there is no agreement for our city attorney to look at. If the city would in fact approve this, we would have to develop some level of memo of understanding or agreement, that obviously where our city attorney would get involved. So, but our attorney's office, due to some things occurring within the department, really we haven't thrown it at them yet. Our city attorney is leaving, so.
So I think it's hard to in my daily life, it's hard to react to something if you don't know the terms. So if they're simply coming to you with a concept and not the actual terms, it's hard to say, yes, we can agree to, or no, we can't, because we don't know what the final terms would be. My other concern is, and Jim, you and I usually agree, but I'm going to say this with respect to government budgets right now and municipal budgets, and things are getting very, very tight, and Marty has probably developed a series of priorities, and this is something where a third party is coming and asking him to do something within that very tight budget and within that very tight and scripted priority list. And I think Marty has the expertise as to what the city of De Pere needs with respect to this department. And while an outside ask is, of course, very credible and very respectable, it's probably not within what the city was looking to as a priority, and especially within the very tight budget that we're going to be facing going forward.
Thanks, Melissa. I think Amy's up next, right?
Yeah, so I guess my comment lies in the in between of that. Like in going for, can we start to present terms or what we are comfortable with instead of what they came, and then go from there? Like, it's a great concept, you've come to us with this is what we're comfortable doing with, to continue the conversation and put the terms around it. That seems like, because that's all valid points, it's just not enough to react to right now. He does not look pleased.
No,
Ryan, I think you were next up.
Yeah, I want to support this also. I think that it is almost too vague for us to commit to at this point. We don't know when it's going to start. We don't know if it's going to start. We don't know, what equipment usage or any of that. I guess saying, yes, we'd like to be part of the project, but we're not willing to commit until we see more details. That's fair. I'm hedging. I definitely want to be part of this collaborative effort, but
Right.
not at risk to our ability to function. I mean, 40 to 100 hours per year, it could go over 3 years, is a lot.
Supplies? Like supplies? What does that mean?
And equipment.
Shovel.
I too was excited by the concept, Jim. When I think about green space, when I think about cities that complain about not having green space, when I think about wild areas or undeveloped or untamed wild areas in the city, and cities that wind up not getting used, I saw this as an opportunity for a space to take a little more shape that can be much more useful by the residents. I agree, it's completely vague. So I don't know if we're the first ones to make the step and say, gee, let's invite Mike Mashinsky in and have him give us some details. If, that's another way to go about this, is to, I think Amy has an interesting plan. Let's put our own details to it and say, here you go. This is what we're willing to do right now. The other concept would be table it, invite Mike in and say, it's a nice cover letter. We need the details. That's another option on it as well. Do you want me to make that call?
Well,
Marty's looking at me like,
I'm just
really?
trying
Really?
to brainstorm. I guess what we could do, and I don't think the group, that is proposing this is ready for it, but maybe they're going to have to be. But I can reach out to them and simply discuss, while the city remains very supportive of this effort, in order for us to commit staffing resources for a 3-year time period, we will need to have some type of agreement. And until we see that type of an agreement, it's not possible for us to make a recommendation. And then it kind of lobs the ball into their court to say, okay, you're going to need to give us some bullet points of what you not just 40 hours, but what does that mean? And then we'd probably have to work on developing an agreement that they can live with, and then that we could live with. Thinking off the top of my head, if we could say, we agree to 40 to 100 hours over the next 3 years, provided that it does not hinder our daily operations, where ours is a priority. But then their response is going to be, well, but we need that in order for leverage funds for the grant. So if you can't commit it, then we can't use it. I can see that volleyball and going back and forth, but all I can do is try.
And one of the details I'd be really curious to know is they talk about 2 launches to be located along that stretch of the river. That, when I think about economic and usefulness, it's like, okay, well, I've got just a feeling, that's not going to be on De Pere City stretch of the river, because we
Highly doubtful.
don't have that kind of access. So
Correct.
when I think about people who need to put more skin in the game, wherever those launches are going to go, there's going to be a larger economic, impact. So I don't know if that's Alloway, I don't know if that's Bellevue, I don't know if that's Ledgeview, I don't know. Sure. But, that I saw that and I thought, so anyway, that's where we are. A motion for some action would be awesome.
Refer back to staff?
I would, it's probably a horse apiece. I do think they're looking for some type of answer soon. So if you refer it back to staff, that gives us latitude to bring it back whenever, but my guess is that it'll probably come back next month, just because I think they need some answers. So,
do you think we'll get more details within the next month, or hard to say, right?
Are the Packers going to win Sunday? I don't.
It would.
Randy, can I just, I'm sorry.
Please do. Please jump in.
In my mind, this is their proposal. Unless they have some sort of memorandum that they have drawn up that we can react to, that the city attorney can look at, and that Marty can say, I can't agree to X, Y, and Z, and counter, I don't think that this is at the point where we can agree to anything. And I don't think we should refer it back to staff either. This is on them to come to us with the memorandum for us to react to.
So can you make that a motion?
Can I make, so I guess the motion would be to, I don't know how you want me to word it, to deny the request.
I wouldn't.
Possible action.
It just says possible action on the request. So right now, we could take no action on the request. We could.
I would
She can
prefer
deny
to
it.
take no action.
Jim?
I would like to invite them next month to come and explain things a little bit, why they need this, and,
Well,
and
isn't Melissa making a motion?
Melissa, are you in the middle of a motion, or were you kind of like trying to figure out how to?
No, I was brainstorming.
Okay. So, Jim, do you have you want to take a shot at something?
yeah, I don't want to out and out deny it. I want to learn more about it. So I would just say delay it till next month and see if we can bring somebody in to explain this situation a little bit more.
So do you want to refer back to staff? Do you want to table the item?
Table it until 30 days or next month.
Table-
We'll
to our
come
next-
back to next month's
And
meeting.
then
Yeah, that has to.
with the can we put the addendum on there that we would invite Mike Mashinsky or
Yes.
another representative to speak to share greater detail with us? So
I
we-
think that would be great.
Perhaps even have a memorandum of understanding with some details for us too.
Marty did mention the Packers, though. You know, there's a game that night, so
Oh, is there?
there's a Thursday night game next month.
I won't be here. I won't be here that meeting.
Oh, that's-
I
Sorry.
don't know. They're
That's the
playing
Thursday
here.
before.
That's my
Not a big deal.
Those are my gold tickets.
What I would suggest, based on what I'm hearing, my recommendation would be is that you table it. I can reach out to Mike and the other people from the group and just say, we're very hesitant to approve something. We need more information. Are you able to come and explain more? And are you guys able to start putting together some level of MOU with more details on what's expected of the city? And we'll see what they say.
Yep. And that will be the only action item on the agenda. I'm kidding.
Cannot promise that.
So maybe
Dang,
there
I'll
won't be a
miss it.
quorum next month anyway.
There may not be. I know I will not be here. Short of somebody else telling me that I will not be using my tickets. So it'd be like my wife or my son.
Is that a concern for anyone else? Just kind of ahead of time, looking ahead?
I don't think so.
They don't need to win this Sunday. They need to win that Thursday. So anyway,
So I would make a motion to table it until next month with,
with an invitation
With
for
an
a
invitation.
representative to come speak with greater detail.
that's it.
I'll second that motion. Further discussion? All those in, what? No?
I think I would just ask Marty that by then, is there, maybe we consider what level of commitment we could make. If it was below a certain level of staff commitment, or if it was smaller staff commitment and volunteers from the community as opposed to staff.
I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, it's easier to allocate money over the next 3 years than it is staff time. Money's is a known. Staff time is not a known. I haven't brought this up, but they're talking about recession. Well, the last time we went through a hard time, there were furloughs. Well, then, now our staffing just, got decreased by 15%. So those are the things that you can't predict. And then if you're on the hook for giving staff and we're on furloughs, now what? So it'd be easier to give money if we could.
Which at year by year could be turned into an in-kind labor donation, right? Depending on the situation. If that's what they need.
I guess I haven't thought about it, but maybe. I have to put some thought to that. And that would be in a memo of understanding or an agreement. I mean, it could be, we commit X amount of dollars or X amount of hours.
Or a combination thereof.
Or a combination thereof. Yeah.
Further discussion on the motion to table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That is tabled. Item number 10, consideration and possible action to approve the first quarter financial statements for the De Pere Ice Arena. Motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion on the first quarter financial statements? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11, consideration and possible action to the holiday light show itinerary and tree sponsorship plan for 2022. I believe we have a handout on that in addition to.
And the handout is the letter that's going out to the businesses. One of the things that I can update you on this too is, as last year, as part of the agreement with Fox Community Credit Union, they came in and they did a fundraising effort at the start of the holiday show. So we're trying to brainstorm on how can we reduce our staffing load on setup and utilize that element. So we talked with Pink Flamingo and Fire Department. Both are very interested in helping us set up the holiday light show in return for giving them one day where they can fundraise for whatever they may fundraise for. So the intent there is if we limit it to 3, so Fox Community Credit Union, as long as we could work it out, Pink Flamingo and Fire Department, what we would do is we would put them on one day of one of the weekends. So there'd always be a day that's free. No one's sitting there harassing for a donation, whatever. But one day someone would be having a fundraising effort. And I do know to have the help in setup would be huge because it's a lot of work. I mean, it's granted every year we do it, it'll get smart, it'll get easier and smarter and quicker, but it's a lot of work no matter how you shake it. So, yeah.
Do we need to approve something?
Yeah, technically, yeah, because there is a change. So we are proposing raising the sponsorship dollar for the community Christmas trees.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Melissa.
Second.
We'll give that one to Ryan. I think you got it out quicker. Any further discussion on the issue? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 12, consideration possible action on the beer garden sponsorship plan.
I'll move to approve.
I will second.
Amy and Shana. Discussion on the beer garden sponsorship plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Future agenda items.
We have been asked to, Shane and Amy know this, we have been asked to look at and consider the goose problem at Jim Martin Park.
I've got a solution,
By
but I'm not
whom?
sure it's.
Diapers.
Alderperson Hanson.
Do we allow dogs to run in Jim Martin? Is that one of the parks?
That is one of the Goose Patrol. We just haven't, unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of volunteers over the last couple of years.
So that'll be on our next month's agenda.
can get a vest for your dog.
All right. Gosh, I'll be sad to miss that one. Any future agenda items beyond?
The dog park.
There you go.
All right, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Amy and Jim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
woohoo.